of the most common questions we get behind the counter here is what's the difference between the different weights of Airsoft BBs that are available? And our most common answer is the heavier the BB that you get, the more consistent groupings you're going to get, or better accuracy as you increase the weight. So the weight of the BBs becomes heavier. One of the ways they make the BBs lighter is that they inject air bubbles into it, and sometimes those air bubbles are not equally distributed around the BB, so it may cause it to hook or slice depending on where those air bubbles are located in it. So as the projectile gets heavier, it generally tends to get more accurate. But that doesn't always pan out that way. In fact, today we decided to sort of put that to the test, and we shot 4 different weight BBs. We did 0.2, 0.25, 0.3, and 0.43. So there's a pretty good range of different weights of BBs. We shot them through the same gun. This is a G&G EBR, one of their nicer guns, and one that we've used in previous videos to sort of use as a benchmark since we had used this previously, and it turned out to be a fairly accurate gun. We shot it using a scope. This is a UTG adjustable objective scope, so it's a fairly accurate scope. We sandbagged the gun to make sure that, rather than using the bipod, we use sandbags as a rest, which gives you a super stable platform. So I'm trying to eliminate as much of the human element as possible with the groupings of this and try to narrow it down to just what is the difference in accuracy based on the BBs and eliminate as many other variables as possible. So we shot at a range of about 100 feet, whatever that is in meters. Europeans will have to figure that one out. With 0.2 gram BBs, we got an average velocity of around 320 to 330 feet per second. And we got a group size of around 7.6 inches. So from the outermost BBs in the group, it had about a 7.6 inch spread. The best group was 6.5 inches. The worst group was 8.5 inches. And just to quantify that a little better, when we shot the groupings, we would shoot a 10-shot string at a target, and then we would do a second target using another 10 shots, and then we would take the average of the two to try to eliminate any anomalies that way. So given that, we got about a 7.6 inch grouping using 0.2 gram BBs. When we stepped up to 0.25 gram BBs, the size of the grouping actually got worse and not better. It went up to a 9-inch group, with the best being a 7-inch and the worst being a 10-inch group. It was still within sort of the range of the margin for error for the 0.2 gram BBs, but there wasn't. It actually got worse. Was sort of the point of that, which was surprising to me. Although a 0.2 gram to a 0.25 gram BB, you're only talking about what, 0.05 of a gram heavier, so it's not a significant weight difference. The next one we went up to was a 0.3 gram BB, and we got an average of a 5-inch group. So it actually did get better accuracy when we stepped up to a 0.3 gram BB. The best grouping was 4 inches and the worst grouping was 6 inches. So even the worst grouping was better than what we got with the 0.2 gram BBs. And then when we stepped up to the 0.43 gram BBs, which were the heaviest in the group, it actually have steel in the core of them to make them even heavier. The accuracy once again got worse, and we ended up with an 8-inch group. So it was actually even worse than we were getting with 0.2 gram BBs, which is very surprising. And the funny thing is, when I shot that, the consistency was actually better because both groups were exactly 8 inches. What can you really get from all of that? Well, I guess in general, when you go from a 0.2 to a 0.3 gram BB, there is a difference in the accuracy of about 2-inch groups. So your group size goes from about 7.5 down to about 5 inches. So you're actually improving the accuracy of the gun. When we stepped up to the 0.43s, it actually got worse. Now, there are, of course, other variables there. As you know, since we're shooting a electric AEG here, the velocity would drop significantly as the BBs got heavier, and that may have an effect on the accuracy. So we went from 320 feet per second with the 0.2s down to about 190 feet per second with the 0.43s, which is, I can almost walk across the room faster than that. So you're not getting very good velocity. So is that velocity a factor? that's something we're going to have to look at. Also, all of the BBs that we were using were not of the same manufacturer. So could there be differences in the quality of the BBs that we used, that there were significant differences in the manufacturing techniques? It's a good question. My thought on that is that I've heard from multiple sources that the majority of airsoft BBs come from one of two factories. Now, I've heard that sort of anecdotally, and I don't really have any specific data to back that up, but it seems plausible because, I mean, how many factories are out there actually producing plastic round balls? So, but that's something that needs a little further investigation, and it is another variable in this equation. So we're going to look into this a little bit further in some future videos. We're going to actually take a Polar Star, and since we can actually change the velocity using the regulator on it, we're going to try to shoot the same BBs using the same velocity. So all of the BBs will be shot at, let's say, 350 feet per second or whatever we decide, and we'll see if that gives us a significant increase in accuracy. So stick around and check out our next video. Hopefully it'll be that one. I'm not really sure exactly what it'll be, but stay tuned and we will investigate this further. And don't let the bastards get you down.